The NA Console Open Tier Grand Finals coming up. Chef Billy, Do Try Hard Ray, Joker's Ransom. Headrammer back on the desk with you here for the second of our grand finals today. And I finally get to shut Ray's mouth up today because Red Team are going to go out there and beat the snot out of Short Bus. Short Bus stands going down today. I hope you guys are all doing well here. Yeah, that's how it's going down. So I'll tell you what, we're going to look and see what these two teams have up their sleeves for the grand finals. Now, looking at Short Bus, they lost in the first round to Mitsubishi Esports 3-0.
It was a forfeit.
It was a forfeit.
It's okay. It's still a loss. Forfeits are loss.
True.
Hey, I'm just saying, they would have ran the winner's side if they didn't have to forfeit that game.
Here's Short Bus. Yep. Short Bus stand over here to my right is going to be short busing all day long. I'm going to have to mute him during our watching of this, but as it stands,
especially if they win, I'm going to be so obnoxious.
As if you aren't already obnoxious. But as it stands, we got the two best. We got some legends here in the CGL community. Obviously, we really don't need to introduce these two teams. They are the pillars of what console Overwatch has meant over the past couple of years. So I will start with Ray. Ray, give me the reasons why Short Bus are going to win today.
Look, listen, I'm going to give Red Team credit where credit is due. They're great. They're definitely the second best team. This is why this was the grand finals matchup. And essentially last year, when they played each other in the losers bracket, both teams universally had decided this was basically the grand finals because they felt whoever won in the losers bracket was going to go on to win the whole thing. And Short Bus won, and they did go on to win the whole thing. So these are two best teams that we have in this conference. I do think, like I said, Red Team credit where credit is due. I think they do have the edge in the DPS line, but in the tank and support line, that is Short Bus every day, baby.
What?
And they are going to take the cake.
What are you talking about?
Okay, Joker, go ahead. Go, Joker. Let him have it.
Ricky and Vovendo all day, baby.
Bro, no, I'm sorry. Rosa's so good at tank.
Very limited in the hero pool. Very limited.
Very limited? What are you talking about?
I've seen them on stream multiple times, and they did not have a wide-ranging here, unless it's changed in the last couple of weeks.
Have you watched them play when Hopeful's not been here? They've been almost hard carrying. The DPS line and Rosa have just been dismantling teams. It doesn't matter about everything else. They've just been on another level right now.
So I'm going to head over to Alex now. I'm going to head over to Alex now to get an unbiased opinion here. Headrabber, I mean, you've got your Preds 4-3 going in favor of Short Bus. What do you think that's going to set it over the top is going to be?
Yeah, I do think. Well, actually, yeah, I do have the Preds at 4-3. But I realize it says 4-2 red team below me. I did put 4-3 for Short Bus.
Yeah,
I think Blizzard messed up our Preds.
Yeah, Billy's supposed to be 4-2 red team.
Yeah,
I said 4-2.
I never said it.
I said 4-3.
I said 4-2 red team.
I said 4-3 red team.
I'm the only one who has the correct Pred that I made.
I did 4-3 for Short Bus. I feel like both teams are incredibly talented. I think really what edges out for me a lot is that Short Bus plays together as a unit and scrims together constantly in many, many different tournaments, and they really have a defined style that I would say is theirs. They love playing around like, the Doomfist, the Tracer with like the Sojourn, Colosseo, or even swap it a little bit. They have their style that they're really, really good at, and I think it is a really good thing to be strong at like one style. Like obviously you can be that team that will constantly counter pick stuff like that, but it's a lot harder to be good at to constantly do that versus just being the team who's the best at your way of playing it. And I also really feel like a lot of times the ace factor for Short Bus is honestly Beastman. Beastman is absolutely nasty on that Tracer, and they seem to somehow find value where value should not exist.
All right. I mean, we've talked about a lot of people here so far. So, Mr. Producer Man, if we can see the rosters coming up here, we'll get the combatants for our NA Console Open Grand Final here. Taking a look at it, that you will see who's going to be who on each side. We'll start off with said red team: Hopeful, Zero, Rosa, Evergreen, and Mighty Brig. Well, I mean, you know what? I think that Hopeful making that timeless jump with content creation has actually added to the lethality. Getting their name out there, Lionel, has been somebody that I have looked up to as far as DPS wise for quite a few years. People used to call him, I don't think he's weird, I just think he's misunderstood and is actually a damn good player. Zero, captain of this team, ready to finally get a lot of these monkeys off the shoulder and take care of it. As Joker said, Rosa has been carrying when Hopeful's not around. Have razzed Rosa a few times for not coming up games, so hopefully. And then the support line that, you know what, I will actually cede this over to Ray. I do think that the short bus support line is just a little cut above what Red Team has to offer. So we'll take a look and see what they can do today to kind of keep their team short up. As we go over to Short Bus's lineup, we will take a look at them. And I mean, one of my favorite players in all of CGL is playing here. And just like Headrammer said, it's Akaza, also known as Beastman. I have been a fan of theirs for a long, long time. Gets value where there shouldn't be any, as he said. But some of that is energy. Energy has moments of brilliance where you can actually the gears cranking and like they just hit like that hyper focus, and there's nothing that can be done. That goes up energy when they are completely locked in. They're almost unkillable, and they find lots of value. Necries, well, the tank, yeah, I think that this tank battle is actually going to be how it settles everything out here. Because we got DPS good on one side, we got the support line banger on the other side. I think the tank line is actually going to be where this battle is won or lost. And then Vobendo, I mean, longtime CGL member, love Vobendo to death, and then Ricky is probably one of the most highly sought after free or main supports here in our league. And you know, watching them compete on the PC side as well, they're damn good there as well. So I'm very interested to see how this is going to go down. We're finally going to get some answers, questions answered here from both sides. But as we head back to our desk now, Ray, you know, I've talked about how I think things are going to go down here. I want to see from you, what do you believe Short Bus will have to do to make sure that they take the dub today?
Again, I think it's all just going to come down to the teamwork and communication. As Headrammer said, they have their style they like to play. It is very predicated on them all working together, and target prioritization is of the essence in their comp. So being able to get key targets down quickly, whether you decide we want to go after those two DPS monsters, or if you want to take away their supports and make their job that much harder. But as long as they're playing their style and their comms are on point, I think it's going to be tough to beat this team.
All right, Joker, same question to you, except for Red Team. What do you think the Red Team has to focus on right out the gate to make sure that they take the win in the Grand Championship?
Hopefully needs to keep Akaza in check. That's really it. I think that we've seen when Akaza can't do what Akaza can do, we see these teams lose. We saw it in for AFMT in their winter finals against Everfrost. They kept Akaza in check and they lost. So I think if that is the case, I think it can, because I mean, we talk about the grandfather of Council Tracers. We talk about Hopeful, right? This it should be an incredible matchup.
Your keys winning for both sides, since you were biased one, even though you're still biased. I know you. Let's hear what you think both sides need to do to get the dub today.
I think realistically, like, this is gonna be a back and forth series, and I think I already said with the incredibly style. I think it also really comes down to a lot to like the mental game. If one team gets the advantage from the start, it's very easy for teams, and we see this a lot in console teams, where they start, you know, arguing with each other about like what's going wrong, and then like things can spiral out of control there. I really think a lot of this will come down to just being able to maintain that cool throughout the entire time and focus on solving the problems and not like getting angry at each other. Because, you know, the moment you can see the styles like shift in a moment. I was watching, for example, some of like the streams from MME when they were playing in the PCE side, and you could see they went up 2-0 in their series, and then like, you know, some stuff went wrong in that third map, and you could just see and hear in the comms just the confidence went down. They stopped making their proactive plays, and started playing so reactive and slowed down, and then they ended up getting fully reverse swept. And the mental game in Overwatch is such an important aspect we don't often talk about.
Yeah, I completely agree. I've never tilted in a final before, ever. Okay, well then you know what? We've got our Preds out there. Let's take a look at what the casters have as far as their Preds. Now, Joker is going to be going over to the casting booth after we get done with the desk here. He's pulling a little bit of double duty for us here this afternoon. But Dex has actually chosen a short bus 4-3. So is the casting booth, and but I think this has the potential to go 7. If these two teams are fully leaded right now and they are ready to go, they are locked in, I think this is probably going to go 7 because these are two of the closest teams that we have across the entirety of CGL, and I think that this could possibly, be one of those epic games that we talk about for a few years here. I mean, this is a great way to close out the console side of things here for us, especially at the top of our tier. They're playing for money here, all on the line. And for me, see now what they will bring out here. It looks like we have a starting map. It's going to be Nepal here for the grand final. It'll be loser's pick after that, and I can see the lobby starting to fill up right now. So let's talk about subs. We saw there's that red team had thrown out a few clunker subs, repeating some people's names, but Jacko is one of the subs that I want to talk about because we've seen them kind of come in a few times when Hopeful has not shown up. Jacko is actually a Swiss Army knife as far as the support line. Comes in and gets the work done. So as far as substitutes, I want to see, how do they deal with that? I don't know. There's some intangibles that I think that we haven't hit on here as we're waiting for this lobby to get all nice and set up. Hopeful is going to be in today. I see him just popping into the lobby now. So, Ray, give me one intangible. Nothing that we have on paper, something that we've seen with our own eyes. We have all watched these teams for years now. What is one intangible that I think that you think that Short Bus will bring to the table that red team will not be able to counter?
I legitimately think it comes down a lot of the time to, as Headrammer mentioned, them as a group in multiple tournaments scrimming together very frequently. I think that teamwork can only be built by constantly doing that day after day after day. It's not going to be like red team doesn't have good teamwork. They play together as well, but the amount of it's exponential. The amount of time you do it together, the more tight, the more cohesive it's going to be. I think that's one thing Short Bus will bring to the table a lot better than red team.
All right, same question to you, Joker. What do you think the intangibles that red team bring to this engagement that's going to put them over the top?
The mechanical skill that we see from these players is just on another level, right? We've seen Zero, we've seen Hopeful, we've seen the substitute DPS, Leo and Mori, just pull off things that I thought was impossible to do with a controller. And I think it's going to be it's just very hard to deal with someone that can maneuver their character that well with a aim stick. It just puts you at a really disadvantage.
All right, and last one for you there, Mr. Head Rammer. Intangibles that you think for either team or both teams, because you have watched them longer than all of us. What do you think that they bring? Each side brings to this battle of the Titans that the other one's not going to be able to counter.
I feel like Short Bus and Red Team to a degree feel like some almost opposite sides in some aspect. The Short Bus team overall is a fairly young team in terms of the age of their players. They're kind of like the up and coming players. Actually, I wouldn't say up and coming at this point. I would say they're already there, but they're kind of like a newer generation of players that they're those players that have put in so much time. They've come up and they've shown so much skill in their play. Whereas Red Team, I would say, is a team that all those players have been around for quite a long time. They kind of bring a little bit of that veteran experience behind them, and I think there's advantages to both. Veteran experience can be great under pressure. It can be great for knowing what to do in a situation that maybe some people haven't seen before. Though at the same time, you can stagnate sometimes in that aspect too, and maybe be a little stubborn in your ways. Whereas, coming from the younger generation of players, these are players that are they're hungry to win. They still enjoy playing. They're a lot of times a little more goofy around, which would be really useful for times in which like the team is struggling, and you need that one goofball who's gonna make your team laugh and kind of bring everyone back together. And I know like Necrise can be one of those people in the comms. With like a player that like calls they're gonna do something stupid, and they're gonna go for it. And it works, it doesn't. But if it doesn't, it's funny.
I mean, you've actually had experience playing against some of these players here, Headrammer being the highest ranked out of all of us. I mean, what do you think? Can somebody stop somebody like a Hopeful that's on one today? Do you think that there's anybody in this lobby that can stop Hopeful?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Hopeful is an incredibly skilled player, but I think everyone on Short Bus can compete with them as well.
All right.
I will also say I think Ricky brings a lot of structure to the team in terms of like in this weird situation where like, Ricky's kind of like the old man on this team in this situation, and he does have a lot of experience in shot calling, and Ricky is a good mind for the team.
All right, well, let's take a look at how we got to where we are at. We're going to take a look at the bracket one last time. You will notice that one blemish here for Short Bus in that forfeit loss to Mitsuichi Esports. But for the rest of it, I mean, yeah, we had people looking for seedings and stuff like that. I mean, it's been pretty comprehensive here for Short Bus. They haven't dropped a map, they haven't dropped a map here at all. Same thing with Red Team. It's been pretty comprehensive for them. And the fact that Short Bus dismantled and Party tells me that this is going to be very, very close, because I think that Heroes Party is at that tier break here in the Console Open. I think Heroes Party is just one step away from being able to really compete with the big boys here in a Console Open. But as it stands, they just haven't gotten there yet. So we've got our matchup set up. We've got our casters ready, and I think that we're going to throw it over to them to get us underway here. And I tell you what, this is going to be one hell of a matchup. We'll see you here after this grand final goes down, and we will see you guys in just a few minutes. Dexatron, Joker, take it away.
Hello, everyone. Oh my goodness, the time has come. I'm so excited for this matchup here, Dex. This should just be a fantastic series of Overwatch we have on our hands. Whoever may win this matchup, either it be Red Team or Short Bus.
Yeah, absolutely here, Joker. We have both the last two champions here. Red Team won back in Season 11, Short Bus back in Season 12. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better matchup here. These have been the two best teams in the entire NA Open the entire time, as you all on the desk talked about.
Yeah, again, this should just be... it's going to be like... I don't know, Titans battling against each other. You remember the Zack Snyder Justice League movie? When Darkseid first comes to Earth, and they have that huge battle with everyone. That's what this is, right? I'm just excited for this. It should just... I'm just excited. I'm excited. I'm like a kid who just got some candy, right? What better way to spend our Saturday than probably casting the best grand finals that we probably might have?
I would agree with you there. This is probably the best grand finals you could have for it, just in general. I mean, the console open tier has just been loaded with teams, but these two teams, like I said, have kind of risen to the top over these past two seasons. You guys talked about just the players on these teams, and it just makes so much sense for why they're here. This could have been the winners final, but because of what you guys talked about in the bracket scene, Short Bus having that forfeit at the start, this is the only time we get to see these two teams play this entire season, which is a sad thing, but hey, they saved it for a perfect time. But Joker, we know what our first map of this grand finals series will be. We're going to be heading to the control map of Nepal.
Where else would we be heading to, right? Because this is where everything has been starting off on in the CGL playoffs, because, well, we don't have Li Zheng, and for some reason people don't like Busan anymore. So, yeah, we've been starting out on Nepal, and it should really show us what these teams are capable of, what comps they are going to be running, and it should be a fantastic way to start off this this match. Start off this grand finals.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you just talk about the matchups that we are expecting to see here, it's everything you are really expecting to see at the moment. The Ramatra, maybe even, you're going to see Tracers at some point. But I think, I forget if it was Ray or Headrammer who brought it up. I think the support lines here are going to be very, very important this series. Yeah, you know the lethality of both these DPS lines. You know how great these tanks are. But I always feel like the support line is something we always kind of overlook. They aren't there necessarily to find kills. They're there to keep everyone alive, but that's the most important thing right now. And in my opinion, whatever support line is able to just keep their team alive is going to be the one that ends up walking out here as a champion.
Yeah. What? I agree. I agree. Vivendo, actually, Vivendo's not even starting. It's Dinks and Ricky, it looks like, here for the support line for Short Bus. So, that, again, another thing, I mean, I love Vivendo's support, but Dinks has also been able to show that they are a very flexible player. They can play DPS, they can play tank, they can play support at a very high level for this Short Bus squad. But is it going to be a problem not having your starter in, right? Having Vivendo not in this matchup, right? It could be something to look forward for.
I mean, it could be a problem, but like you said, they're flexible, and these teams have subs for a reason. And there's points where I've looked at the subs on these teams and could say that you could take the people who don't start, make a team themselves, and still probably be one of the best 5-6 teams in NA console open tier here. So everyone who's on the bench can come in and immediately fill a role.
Oh yeah, no. If you look at the support, the DPS that Red Team have on their bench, we've seen it before. They Zero and Hopeful weren't there, and they still just dominated the opposition. Mori and Leo, as themselves, are probably a top 8, top 6, maybe even. A DPS player in the NA Open tier, and I just want to start the game. Come on.
Hey, they love to tease us. But
Dex, you're muted
Joker,
yourself in Discord. I can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry. I'm hearing an echo still, so it's
okay.
Everything's going haywire on my end. But you just looking at these two teams, we could talk about every individual player like you guys kind of did on the desk. It's just I don't know the word to necessarily describe it, because every player here are some of the best players, or could be considered the best players in NA on the console side. I mean, it's going to be a very, very fun thing to see.
It really would. It really would. I think, are we ready for? I think yes, we are getting the readies coming in from the lobby here. Dexatron, it's almost time to see who will start it off. Who will be starting it off 1-0 today? Dexatron getting that momentum to start in their favor for the NA console Open Tier Grand Finals.
And we start here on a map. I mean, this is a great map to start on because it has everything you want to see from a control map. You have the pit right next to the map, which is something you always will see people go for. But a lot of the time, you'll see people just try to rush for the high ground to the right of where our camera is right now. They want to fight for that, try to win it first, and then go to point. But we're going to see what the teams are necessarily coming out with here. And this is what I really expected here. Ramatra is coming out from both sides, Baptiste and Lucio's Baptiste. I like Baps coming out right now over the Kiriko. Yeah, Kiriko, but the Immortality Field and the Am Matrix are a little bit more valuable, in my opinion, than what the Kiriko brings. Red Team, though, not necessarily showing us a Tracer at the moment. I feel like Zero might swap off to the Tracer here, but you look over at Short Bus, same thing on that tank and support line. But Akaza on the sim here to start, get a swap over to the Tracer after they get that TP out.
As we're going to see it already come in. There's, interesting, the two differences here. The DPS line's changing it up a little bit, Dexatron. They see how it works for him going forward, but is it going to make the difference? Well, something will, right? As they're still just waiting it out, waiting for this opening to come in from someone, and as Short Bus is already trying to make their presence known. The red team's currently procking up the point, though, so there's still an opportunity. And now, Necry's is all alone, and Zero's found Ricky out, and the point is going to come in already. A nice boop comes in from Evergreen to start it off fully for red team.
And like I said, you're going to be looking for Lucios to do that right there. They got Necry's red team starting off great, but Akaza finding Evergreen right there might allow Short Bus to come back into this one here and play a little bit fast. And look, red team just going to completely fall back at the moment. Akaza is shutting down Zero as well. I mean, it's going to result in the flip here. No ultimates truly built up through that fight because it was quick, but look at Akaza, very close to a pulse bomb already. They'll probably have that ready to go by midway point next fight.
Yeah, definitely. 21% already up for red team, so, well, they've got something started for them. But, again, it's not that far out of the realm of possibilities for it to be flipped because it's already there, right? So, there's still a lot of time. Point being forced up, though, by Zero yet again. Akaza's in the back trying to, well, take them down, but still really nothing is doing quite just yet. There's still just a lot of juking and jiving, jostling for position, and Zero's gone down. Necry is finding that first pick for our Short Bus in the fight. Now building up to 40%, still waiting it out. They've got to be able to find something here if you are red team to get back into this before it gets really out of hand. But Akaza comes in, Pulse Bomb's out, not going to find anyone, but Dinks is very low right now. But Energy pops the overclock, and Evergreen, Rosa going down. Short Bus are going to be able to keep the hold going in.
Yeah, and you saw red team right there trying to use Rosa and Evergreen to take space, but the rest of their team was trying to play back while that space was taken. It just didn't work out. You lost Evergreen, you lost Rosa. Red team smartly backed out without losing anyone else here. And now red team coming up on all their ultimates, which is something very key in this fight considering Short Bus invested both their DPS ultimates that last fight. However, they have that Amix and the beat here to keep them alive if necessary.
Beat coming in early, or not Beat, sorry. Amp Matrix coming in first and foremost, but there comes the Amp Matrix in response from Dink. Soundbear comes in from Ricky as well, and Hopeful's been taken down. Annihilation being propped by Rosa, but they're just bashed against the corner of the wall. There's just really nothing they can do right now as Zero's found out Akaza found out Zero. Annihilation coming in from the cries to try to finish this all off. The point was flipped over to red team, flip back over to Short Bus in the midst of it all as the Cries finds two with the Annihilation, and round one seems to be going the way of Short Bus.
I mean, Hopeful might try to get a touch in here, but it looks like they're going to be denied that opportunity. And the biggest thing that I could really say about red team that entire first point there was, I just think the comp was a little bit lacking. Yeah, the Mei was able to, get that point pressure that you talked about a lot there, but I mean, they built up to a blizzard there in that last fight. They never were able to use it. They didn't necessarily have a good opportunity to use it there. And now, I mean, look at the stats here. CL Short Bus, they only ever lost Necry's and Ricky, and that was that first initial engagement. They were smart enough to back out of that fight. After that, they played perfectly, no deaths, and were basically shut down red team anytime they wanted. And the most impressive thing I saw with Short Bus was their ability to just rotate around the point. When red team wanted to take that high ground that I talked about going into the map, you saw them going through the opposite side and forcing red team to make some decision on how they wanted to play. And they didn't necessarily want to engage into Short Bus, but they wanted to have Short Bus engage into them. It just never really worked out. Now, if you're a red team, I like what they did here. They make the swaps, Hopeful going over to the Tracer, and Zero on this Cassidy. I think this is a lot better for them without that Mei.
I think the biggest thing was Dankist had nothing. Hopeful had no eliminations, no stake in that first map. We've got to see something more from their star DPS if they want to be able to keep in tow with Short Buses. They're already rotated the point, but the point is already been taken down. Zero's gone. Jacko falling quickly afterwards. And that just might be a quick... Yeah, this is going to be a quick capture yet again by Short Bus.
Yeah, and I mean, red team, they didn't. They decided not to go for a high ground there, and I felt like that kind of hurt them. Short Bus, you saw once they noticed that red team wasn't going to go up there, it looked like they got really, really happy. The fact of play on that high ground that entire time, they threw down that disrupting shot on the opposite side of the point, really forced them to have to engage in that fight here. Now is they're coming through the high ground, but I mean, Short Bus is ready for it.
Yeah, they are indeed. Zero's looking for some clicks to the head to get back into this. Ricky's low, a nice dink comes in, and Rosa is able to clean it up. NRG is down, but Hopeful gets caught out, taken down by Akaza. But you know what? They might, you might live with that because you've already found 2. But Akaza continuing to just show out, finds that pulse bomb kill. They do go down. They do lose the point, but they've already gotten it up to 45%.
They already got up to 45% right there, and I mean, I think they'll take that. They're not necessarily happy that, you know, Akaza did find a kill with that pulse bump, but now they really don't have anything early on in this next fight other than the Amp Matrix here from Dings. While Red Team, they'll have a Deadeye, which will just buy some space. Hopeful has a pulse bump that they could probably invest when that Deadeye's out to force out something like the Immortality Field there as well. But if you're Short Bus, you're looking for that engagement now. It looks like you're trying to split up this high ground and kind of medium ground entrance right here. Try and just get something to open up.
Yeah, they're going to open it up. Zero comes in, though, with a dink to the head onto Dinks. And that is just going to, you know what, allow Red Team to take this fight. Maybe not. Now with Jacko going down, Akaza double blinks, takes him out, recalls away. And now Rosa's trying to take this back. They've got the opportunity, and they're about to overtake them with capture percentage. But now Short Bus is forcing the objective. They're forcing him back away from that aggressive positioning that we're trying to hold. And now they've let them in. Zero's gone down, and now Rosa's going to quickly go afterwards with him with the overclock coming in from NRG, and that's Short Bus taking back the point.
And Short Bus played that almost perfectly, in my opinion. Red Team was getting very aggressive, walking through the choke points right there, trying to take space away from Short Bus. So Short Bus, they sent Akaza to point just to force Red Team back. That allowed Short Bus that opportunity, that space they needed just to get in, and they found the picks right after that. However, Red Team's coming back with ultimates.
Yeah, Deadeye getting sped into it all here. But, ooh, Jacko going down. A great shot coming in from NRG as they're still trying to hold out. They're so low, though, right now on the side of Red Team. But Hopeful's going to be able to take down Ricky, who had that sound barrier. It's going to allow them to use this Annihilation. But the Pulse Bomb stick comes in from Akaza yet again. The Annihilation is doing its job. They've taken Dinks. They've taken NRG out. But still, Akaza's on high. And they forced out sound barrier. They need to take this fight. They would have loved to hold it for this next fight, and now they don't have it, and the Annihilation's propped up by Necryze. This is going to take it all. Short Bus are not stopping right now. They've got the pedal to the metal, and they're taking map number 1.
And honestly, give that all up to Akaza there on that high ground, just being able to pump so much damage into the tank there for Red Team that it forced out that beat. They didn't want to lose them in that fight because, like you said, they probably were gonna be able to recap that, and it was just a great play there by them on that high ground, forcing that out. You wanted them to hold on to it for that next fight. That's probably what they want to do as well. And because of them using the beat early, it allowed Short Bus to come in, use their beat of their own, use their own Annihilation, and then wrap up that point there. And Joker, I mean, just look at the stats here again.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that Necryze and Ricky were the only 2 that died for Short Bus on that first point. And other than that, I mean, it's pretty consistent there with death. There wasn't a lot of death on the side of Short Bus. And Red Team, they looked a lot better, but it just seemed like they were forced to use ultimates at points they didn't want to, and immediately came back to hurt them here a little bit. But, I mean, we have to talk about probably what is going to be the most important battle throughout this entire series here, Joker, and that will be that battle on Tracer. These 2 Tracers, we have talked about them a lot in the previous games and series, Akaza and Hopeful. They are well known for just being menaces, but in that first map, it was all Akaza.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, just the thing is, the damage dealt is just the same, right? It's 5 damage difference, but it's I just don't know. Hopeful had no elims on the first round, right? Mm-hmm. They had 3 on that second. It's just something. I mean, we saw it. I mean, Akaza was in on everything, basically. That's what we need to see from Hopeful. If you're not keeping Akaza in check, I think we need to just see the entire, just kind of being like that shadow onto Akaza from Hopeful right now, because that's just what Akaza's doing. They're doing everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why you're seeing a lot of those Tracer duels happen at the moment right now. Tracer's really strong. And most of the time, the person that's, supposed to be checking the Tracer is your own team's Tracer. And just because that wasn't necessarily happening there on that first map, I mean, Akaza was just able to run wild. They didn't play Tracer on that first point. They did on that second point. But again, it just kind of felt like they had other kind of target focuses, and especially with a player like Akaza, who, I mean, you guys talked about a lot on the desk. We've talked a lot about them in other series, as I've already said. They are well known as one of the best Tracers. Maybe even you could consider them the best in NA on the console side. You have to be watching over them. You cannot allow them to run freely, because you can look back at the end of that second point right there. They were almost able to take care of the Ramatra 4 red team. It forced out the beat, and that just snowballed into Short Bus coming back in with a beat of their own, annihilation of their own. Yeah, red team threw out that amp matrix, but just didn't matter in the end.
Yeah, definitely. We do have a swap coming in here, Dexatron. We've gotten the info from our observers, from our people in the streets, that Leo is coming in for Hey I'm Zero. So I think we're going to be seeing a transition really over to what is it? Over to the Sojourn here.
Yeah, and I mean, you see Sojourn and Cassidy played a lot besides that Tracer, and they kind of do the same thing, but just who's more comfortable on, or what the player's more comfortable on. That Sojourn I do like a little bit more because of that movement ability, able to take high ground a lot faster. But I mean, it's gonna be really interesting to see if the Sojourn will come out here, because we do know what our second map of this grand finals series will be. Joker, we're heading to your neck of the woods. We are heading to Midtown.
Yeah, we're headed to Midtown here, and I mean, I think that makes the most sense. That's what we've been seeing all the time from these high-level teams, right? We've got, it just makes sense. You could call it the Kings or the Kings of the West, if you, I mean, it just plays so normally to it plays so regularly towards like that Kings Row vibe of things.
Yeah.
That I think both these two teams want to just feel comfortable right now.
Yeah, and like you said, a lot of people compare this map to Kings Row. It's, not as old as Kings Row. I mean, no map will ever be as old as Kings Row here, but like you said, kind of plays a lot like Kings Row. Has a couple good choke points, similar to Kings Row. Has a great high ground on second point, but it's just really interesting to see what changes the teams go through here, because Kings Row, normally you will see some changes from point to point, but Midtown, you could either see no changes or a whole bunch of changes. It just really depends on what's working. You could see Sigma come out here. You could see the Ramatras come out here. You could see Jungle Queens come out here. You could see any kind of composition come out here. And that's in my opinion, makes this hybrid map one of the more interesting ones in the game, because it's something like a control map where you can run different comps and find value on it. On most other hybrid maps, you can't really do that. This one, though, I mean, you could run dive on this first point. You can run basically any named composition on this first point and find value with it. But I mean, as we head in, it does look like Short Bus will be attacking here first. And I actually like that from Short Bus. I mean, undefeated in the regular season, only lost their first series by a forfeit to start the playoffs. I like a team that's aggressive and one that feels like they've already kind of figured out the other team and has them on the edge. And look at the comps we're seeing here. Really no big difference. And you were 100% right with Leo coming in for Zero there, playing the Sojourn. And I mean, at the moment, we have a mirror match here, mirror comps. And that's kind of what I expect to see throughout this entire series. These characters are strong at the moment for a reason. They can do so much. But again, the biggest thing we have to be looking at in this map, we talked about a lot in between the maps, Akaza and Hopeful. That battle needs to be something that evens out a little bit here, and Hopeful needs to be going after Akaza rather than trying to focus a little bit on the backline. We have a late swap. Never mind. I thought Necraj was going to come out on the Sigma there.
Yeah, is now they're coming in here. As we still gotta wait it out. I mean, they've got the rotation coming in. Nekrais is gonna be rotating around the doctor to look to well, they've already gotten to over to the fire station here. Dex without really any contest coming in from red team, but they're still waiting it out, fighting it out. It's just waiting for the picks to come in, and wow, oh my goodness, the cries very, very low there at the moment. Gonna get the heal though from Dinks, and Leo's gonna go down first as Akaza comes in yet again with that opening pick for Short Bus. I mean, it's just been time and time again, but now they've lost Rosa as well, and I mean, this might just be the fight already going the wayside as Short Bus can play the first point capture.
And I think Short Bus confused red team there, and it seemed like Short Bus was also a little bit confused themselves. The entire how they wanted to play that first point by getting into the firehouse right there seemed like they kind of thought they had a Symmetra a little bit, or how you would expect to see a team play with a Symmetra. They were all trying to get in there as fast as they could, but they were going one by one by one. But again, it was Akaza opening everything up, and yeah, Hopeful has the pulse bomb ready to go there, but when I first saw Hopeful when that whole team fight was breaking out, they were all the way back by the laundromat while Akaza was by their tank taking care of Rosa here. But now, coming into this next point push, red team coming up on that pulse bomb I talked about. Akaza will have one of their own, but Dink's going to have this Ant Matrix here soon. That could be something that really opens up here for Short Bus if they're able to get out in the middle of the road.
Yes, Akaza trying to chase down Hopeful here is now, they're still just waiting it out. They're trying to figure out when to go in. If Hopeful could find this pick onto Akaza, onto someone, and there's the stick coming through. A nice little play. The stick comes in, and no, Evergreen goes right into Hopeful. Akaza finds two, and that's it might be enough though. With the pick coming back in from Leo onto Dinks, but they've rotated underneath. The Amp Matrix is null and void because they've already pushed the cart away, and Akaza is gonna go down a little bit later. But what a play coming in from that Tracer.
Yeah, I mean, Akaza just handed a letter to Evergreen, and it ended up finding Leo there as well. Or my bad, Hopeful there as well. And it's just an amazing play by them, but give a lot of credit there to Red Team for being able to survive through all that there, losing their Lucio, losing their Tracer. And now, I mean, you're saying them come back in, but NRG able to find Leo out here early.
Yeah, NRG finding Leo early on, and the Amp Matrix coming in as well in the midst of it all, but still they don't really find anything more. Now with the Annihilation being procced up, they've got the sound barrier in from Ricky. They don't have theirs up yet quite just here now. They still have to wait it out. Rosa still having the Annihilation proc, but no longer there. Sound barrier now comes in, and they can push forward, push in to the remaining members of Short Bus, but there still haven't been any picks. Ultimates have been invested, but no one's gone down. Akaza was so very low, and now the Annihilation is used. They don't have the sound barrier to counter it out, and Nekrais is finding so much value with it, and that's just going to allow Short Bus to take the second point.
Yeah, and give a lot of credit to Jacko there on Red Team to keep them alive in that initial fight after Rosa popped their own Annihilation there. That was the only reason Rosa stayed through that, and that fight lasted as long as it did. But each team played so safe right there. They did not necessarily want to overextend. They did not want to make that first mistake and fall. And that allowed Short Bus to go in once they saw Red Team invest some ultimates and just fight kills they need to. But look at Red Team now, coming up on 3 ultimates. That Ant Matrix, I will always say, is a very important ultimate, maybe the most important one on the team. Hopeful's Pulse Bomb, though, is going to get rid of Dinks.
Yeah, it's going to really help them take down Dinks and now allow them to stabilize onto this point. They've got to buy some time on this here, and they cannot afford to lose. But there goes NRG taking Leo out of the fight. They do get it traded back. Hopeful's finally coming alive, it seems. Now they've got the opportunity to keep this hold going on, especially if they can find these late stagger kills onto the remaining members of Short Bus. But they cannot afford to go down themselves here, Dex.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Short Bus is, still kind of engaging into some 1v1s here while they wait for Dinks to come back. Now that Dinks is back, you're going to see him try to play a little bit fast. They have that Ant Matrix Pulse Bomb, and they're about to have a beat ready to go here. I mean, the beat probably from Ricky not going to be really invested until Rosa pops their own Annihilation, but if they want to be aggressive with it, they could pop it off almost immediately and just go in.
Necry is finding Jacko out, but the overclock coming in back in return. Trades keep coming through. It is still an even fight on the point, and this overclock is finding so much damage, and Hopeful's there to follow it up. They've got the opportunity, and Hopeful's coming in with the 4-piece for Red Team.
And talk about a fight that Red Team absolutely needed right there. They needed just to slow down this cart a little bit here. This will probably chunk down that time bank to about 2 minutes before Short is really able to do anything, and Short invested that Amp Matrix right there. Look at what Red Team's coming in this next engagement with. They're about to have 4 ultimates. Short gonna only really have 3 Necrys, could build up to an Annihilation, but it's gonna be Evergreen right there to beat their team and keep them alive through it, and Hopeful, like you said, Joker, is starting to come alive.
Coming alive, and at the perfect time for Red Team here as they're waiting it out still. They've got this Pulse Bomb available, and now we're seeing Ricky try to take him out. They've almost found the pick, and they're jawing, they're pincered away, and the cries finding that pick on to them now here is Rosa's about to go down as well, but Leo comes in. Amp Matrix is with the secondary fire taking Ricky down. And they've got this healing. They've got the stabilization that Red Team was so desperately looking for right now. As they've got to hold on. They've still got the ultimates to do so, Dex.
Absolutely, but if you're a Short you're absolutely happy that that Amp Matrix is gone there from Jacko. Ooh. And NRG finding Hopeful, who has just been hounding your backline right there. They're gone. I'm gonna imagine we're gonna see a very, very aggressive Short team here, starting off with the beat.
The Annihilation coming in. Soundbears has come through, but Necrys hasn't used their own. They're waiting for the Soundbear to go out. The overclock has come in. Hopeful finds NRG, but there's that doesn't find much. They just find Evergreen. They no longer really matter. They didn't have that Soundbear. You like the speed, but you didn't get that ultimate off the board. And there's still an opportunity for Red Team to keep this hold coming in. There's a minute to go, and they've gotten the ultimates, or they don't have anything though right now here, Dex.
They don't have anything, but they have right now some time. But Necry is making the swap over here to Doomfist. They want to try to disrupt the Red Team a little bit because that team is starting to take space. Rosa making the swap over as well here. But Akaza, Dinks have these 2 ultimates ready to go. Akaza, they have to be able to find something with this Pulse Bomb, and this Amp Matrix need to be able to build some space.
Rosa has made the swap over to the D.Va. They've got to stay in this mech, but they're getting D-Mech taken down by Akaza and 3 others as well into that. And now the D.Va going in. They've got a very low Dinks on the point. So is NRG. The overclock coming in. They've got an opportunity, but they need to take the picks when they can. Ricky goes down, but Akaza is able to find 2 of their own. Evergreen just kind of buying time for their team on the point right now. Rosa's trying to stall it out as well. They've got to get something. And it probably is not going to be the case as they get it to overtime, but Short Bus take all 3 points.
Yeah, they take all 3 points, but like you said, Red Team, the small victory there is you forced it into overtime, so all you really have to do is finish with a minute on the clock, and you're going to have a good chance at winning this map here and tying up the series. But Red Team, they looked a lot better on that final point defense, and you look at the stats, you just see the difference in kills coming out here from Short Bus to Red Team, and that really came on those first 2 points. Yeah, there were a lot of team fights on that 3rd point push there, but Red Team slowed them down enough there. Yeah, they still completed the map, but like we said, overtime. Players started to step up. Hopeful, Leo, they just started popping off. Rosa was able to take that space, and it just allowed Hopeful to to get in that backline, find those picks, because like we said, Joker, they finally came alive there, and we talked about a lot of these players, Hopeful being one of them, just being an excellent Tracer player. They needed to have something after the struggle that was the first map here. But look at what we're seeing here now. I thought we could see a Sigma come out here. I thought we would only see on the offensive side. Short Bus wants to bring it out here on the defensive side, and I do like that here. And also, that's a Zenyatta.
Yeah, that's you know what? I'll let them cook. I'll let them cook, Dex, because again, they are so much better than me at this game. I can't really question them. I can be weirded out by it, but I can't really question it.
Absolutely. But this Zenyatta pick is going to be something that's, very hit or miss. If Ricky gets caught out very early, it's going to be a huge hole that Short Plus is going to be missing.
Yeah, now they are going to be trying to push it in. But right now, they're just kind of waiting it out. Rosa is getting low, getting his peppered from all directions, really. But still, nothing's really, it's going to be really slow. They're just waiting things out. And Hopeful's going to have to force that recall in early for, and now they are rotating the point. Necrise is going to be getting forced out. They've got very low, but the picks still come through from Short Bus in the end as Akaza starts it off.
And again, it's deja vu all over again here. Akaza finds the first pick, leads to a team fight win here. Yeah, Leo and Jacko find 2 there, but it just doesn't necessarily matter at the end, as Red Team's going to need to regroup, and Short Bus will have enough time for all their players to get back into this fight here. And I like what Short Bus was doing there, giving Red Team that space. It forced Red Team to make decisions that it didn't necessarily seem like they were all ready to make, and the Cries finding Hopeful out early. This is already a great start here for Short Bus.
Huge pick coming in already for Short Bus, right? They've got to get more. They've got this down to about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. But they've got to, you know, get a little bit more. They've got to get. They've still got time, right? And they're letting Red Team build up to these ultimates. They haven't had to invest one yet either, though. So they're still. It's still waiting it out. Akaza is, though, looking for Hopeful in the backline. The Tracer duel coming in. The trade, the recall comes out, and Necrise is going to get fallen down. Jacko finding that pick too huge. Now it lets Red Team come onto the point. Pulse Bomb stick, but not going to find anyone there as Evergreen comes in with a late final blow onto Akaza to take point.
Let Tracer duel there for a brief moment. Yeah, Red Team really opened up everything there with Jacko using that Matrix to find an early pick. But that Tracer duel we talked about coming into this map, something we need to see more and more for Red Team for their sake. Because if Akaza's left unchecked, they can do so much damage. Hopeful kept Akaza in check there, and there was no Tracer there to harass the rest of their team. Now, Red Team, you have a Pulse Bomb, you have a beat here, Short Bus. I mean, they have that they have the Amp Matrix, the Overclock, and a Flux here, which could be very, very deadly if Evergreen decides to use the beat a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I think they have to wait for that the Gravitic Flux, right? The Akaza again getting the upper hand in that Tracer duel. Now there's still an opportunity, especially since Necrise is very aggressive, but it doesn't seem to matter because NRG and Akaza are still finding picks for Short Bus.
And this is something that we've seen from Short Bus this entire season. They love to be aggressive when they can take that space. Red Team, though, they're about to have 4 ultimates. Short Bus, hey, they have 4 ultimates of their own, and they have a Transcendence here. So they necessarily have something to get them through that annihilation that Rose is going to have, and maybe even something that can keep them into a fight once that kind of fades away. But if you're Red Team, you're looking for an opening pick here. Is it going to be a Pulse Bomb stick from Hopeful onto someone? It's just going to be Hopeful finding someone here. Maybe Leo lands a nice railgun shot, but I might have cast cursed them there, Joker.
Yeah, it was just kind of the direct opposite, right? NRG with the shot, and then the Disruptor shot takes down Leo. They've got the respawns, and they've got the ultimates, though, here.
Yeah, they got the ultimates. They're going to have all 5. I mean, both teams are going to have all 5 ultimates in this next engagement. In my opinion, this is a very, very key fight here for Red Team. They cannot lose it early.
Ooh. And they've lost
the
Evergreen.
Ajax!
And there was an Ajax that's gone. They're done. There's the fight. Go back to spawn.
Oh man. Evergreen. If that beat hits, they're able to stay through that right there, and just full commit into a fight right there, knowing that the Amp Matrix and the Pulse Bomb were gone. You could have seen Rosa pop that annihilation. Hopeful use their own Pulse Bomb as well right there, but they just didn't because everything kind of fell flat before it even started there. But now, I mean, Red Team, they have these ultimates. Hopeful did use a Pulse Bomb just now, didn't find anything. They need to find something here. They need to find an early pick just to give them a little bit of confidence and some space.
But Rosa gets caught out, and there's the overclock invested by NRG, finding 2 picks, as that is just that. The team kill coming in, 1:40 left to go, and now with Short Bus in the driver's seat.
And if you're a Red Team, I mean, at this point, you have to start asking, do we need to make swaps? This isn't working. We can't keep running into this over and over and over again, expecting the same and expecting a different result here. The best thing is right now, Short Bus only has 2 ultimates, but they have 2 very, very strong ultimates. That Flux and that Transcendence can keep you alive through everything. And Akaza finds Hopeful out here early as the teams have basically just rotated to the opposite points of the map.
Yes, now they gotta figure it out. There's things just going awry for this red team squad right now. But they are just kind of rotating around, still holding it out. They've got the point moving in the right direction. They've just got to find a pick, and the Cries is bailing it out. The nice play comes in. Annihilation's going to be used, and the Transcendence is a little too late to save Necries. And now they've got the point. They just need to find more right here, Dex.
Yeah, they need to find more, but here's the best thing about this situation that Red Team's in. They have Short Bus split up. They need to just focus on pushing the car at the moment, and they cannot allow Red Team to regroup, but they want to take high ground instead, and I don't think that's the right move. You only have this Ant Matrix. You need to be finding a lot of people with this Ant Matrix.
You really do. You really do indeed. And they've got to keep pressuring this cart because there's only 8 seconds to go. They've got to be able to find something here, and they need it now. They need to get on the points, the first and foremost thing. Ricky does go down, but hopefully gets traded out, and now the picks just are going to be going all in favor of Short Bus, and that is map number 2.
And I mean, it was just, it looked very, very good there for a Red Team towards the end of that first round. They were finally able to slow down Short Bus, and I kind of thought, okay, they figured them out a little bit. They're going to go through this map on the offensive side, and it just didn't work out. I mean, Short Bus and the Sigma was the only big difference here, and I think it made such a huge difference because Rosa was never able to find that same value they were finding in the previous round. The Sigma did so much just to kind of stop them whenever they, went into that Nemesis form. You just saw the accretion be thrown at them, get them stunned for that brief moment, and you just saw so much value coming from that. But, you look at the stats here, and you could look at Hopeful and Akaza again as being a very, very important duel. Hopeful, 14 deaths to 12 eliminations, not necessarily the best. Look at Akaza, 34 to 4. It started to just get away from Red Team there in that second round because it just seemed like they had an idea. They were going to use ultimates to find ultimates to find opportunities. They just never did, though. It was always someone on Short Bus just being able to find an early pick that really forced Red Team into a situation where they were trying to decide, do they back out or do they engage? And half the time, it seemed like they were a little bit too slow to back out. But, I talked about the one key difference there in that final round. It was Necries going over to the Sigma, and it became something that set the difference there. And Necries and Rosa, just look at the stats here. 3 times the amount of eliminations there for Necries, half the deaths as well. But look at the damage here, Joker. Rosa had more, Necries had less here. It just really comes down to, it really shows you how important some of these DPS lines are here in this game. Yeah, the tanks can be there and finding a lot of picks, finding a lot of value, building that space, but you still need to have that DPS line there to clean up a lot of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Things are getting really out of hand for Red Team. They've got to figure something out. We're going to be headed to a short little break. This is the perfect opportunity to reset those mentals and rethink your strategy headed into map number 3. We'll be right back. one. Things are looking dire right now. We still have at least 2 more maps, right? For Red Team to figure it out. But after the way things have looked, these first 2 maps, like we said after the break, or during our break, if Red Team doesn't win this now, do they win anything at all? And are we going to be seeing a 4-0 sweep again, which shouldn't be happening, right? Red Team has just kind of looked outmatched so far.
Yeah, a 4-0 sweep is the furthest away from anything that anyone on the desk or in the casting booth predicted. I think the lowest anyone went was 6 maps here. But we do know what our 3rd map of this series will be here, Joker. We're going to the flashpoint of New Junk City here. And, I mean, a lot relies on this map here for Red Team. Me and you talked about during the break. You brought up a little bit coming back to the desk here. It just feels like if Red Team can't win this one, it just feels like they will have lost the series already. They would have given too much momentum to a short bus team that, I mean, once that bus gets rolling, it is incredibly hard to stop. It's like someone cut the brake lines on it. But Red Team, we have seen them throughout the season, throughout the playoffs, be a team that is resilient and be a team that's able to fight back when it seems like they should lose fights here. And this is an opportunity for them to do just that. This is a map they 100% need. And coming out of the gate, the Orisa is an interesting pick. I don't hate it. And I feel like a lot of people had kind of overreacted when they said that Orisa was necessarily killed. I think they nerfed her down to a point where she's almost balanced. Ham Zero on the Venture as well is a very interesting pick. Okay, never mind. Talk about the Orisa for a little. Joker, take over because they are messing with me now.
Yeah, it is an interesting. It was definitely an interesting look. But Rosa is going to go back over to the Ramatra here, and we've got to see, can they take Arena first? Zero's back into the lobby. Goldia has come in for Jacko. They want to run this a lot quicker because, I mean, this is what Flashpoint is, a quick game mode. Zero is going to be able to find this ring around Zero, the kit pick in this ring around the Rosie that we're seeing right now. And things are already looking good for Red Team. Oh my goodness, they're already starting off so strong.
And what was something we talked about a lot last map? It was the fact that Red Team can never find the first pick. They find the first pick onto NRG, who was their range distance dealer. That forced them to have to play very aggressive into that. And now look, Short Bus making some swap Necries, getting off the Jungle Queen after 1 life. The right thing to do. And Dinks getting off the Kiriko, going back over to the Baptiste, which they've looked great on this entire time. Goldia showing us the Kiriko here again. Something we didn't necessarily talk about. First time we've seen them all series long. I do like it that Suzu does give them a little bit more opportunity to play aggressively, knowing they have a get out of jail free card, and that Kitsune Rush could do a lot for them.
Zero is going to get caught out there by Akaza, but it's traded back immediately, right? They don't have that healing of Dinks any longer on the board, and now they're going to pay for it. Goldia is going to get caught out, but it's not really going to matter in the grand scheme of things, right, as Red Team keeps the hold.
Yeah, and Akaza is around the point, but Akaza is not this good that they can 1v4 or 1v3 Red Team at the moment, especially with the characters that they have alive here. But they do have a Pulse Bomb, so if they want to throw that out here to buy them some time for their team to come back in and engage into a fight, we could see that here. But, I mean, Hopeful has the same thing. It looks like Short Bus, though, wants to try to keep one more fight on this point.
The stick comes in, NRG goes down, but it's traded back from a Pulse Bomb roll. But Hopeful finds another one. Now they are so very low. They are going to get punched to death and taken out by Necries on the point, but there's still an opportunity. There's a lot of people low on Short Bus, and the sound barrier is going to be invested. They think this is winnable, and it definitely is, with Rosa finding the shot, taking down Necries out of this fight. Now Akaza trying to hold on, trying to stagger it out for a little bit longer, but it might not just be the case, as yeah, they do have to give it up as the point is unlocked, and now we're headed over to the refinery.
And I mean, that beat there from Evergreen was perfect. It got them that point, when Akaza was not necessarily going to engage into that one there. But now look at Short Bus coming in this next point here. They're going to have the Amp Matrix, they're going to have an Annihilation, but Rosa will have their own as well. Goldier, though, this Kitsune Rush is going to be very, very key for them, especially with Zero coming up to that Deadeye. It could be something they use to combo it, build some space off with Zero using the Deadeye, and then come in with that Kitsune Rush here to just engage onto Short Bus.
Right now, they've given out with Jedi coming in. Zero's not going to find anything, but the Kitsune Rush has already forced them back, forced them away from the point and allowing Red Team to take this first capture. They had to invest 2 ultimates to do it, but they still get point hold nonetheless. They are trying to proc it up though. Is Short Bus, but Zero finds the shot, finds another one, takes down NRG, and this should just be the hold continuing for Red Team.
Absolutely right there. Yeah, they used 2 ultimates to win that fight, win the point. But even if it was a long drawn out fight, that probably would have guaranteed them 40% just for free right there. But now look at Short Bus coming this next engagement. They are loaded. They are fully loaded. 5 ultimates ready to go here. You're looking at what's going to probably be the first one to come out. I would probably expect it to be Akaza's Pulse Bomb to force out something like the Suzu from Red Team, and then follow it up with Dinx's Amp Matrix and maybe even Ricky's Beat if they want to play aggressive and hold on to that Annihilation. Rosa, though, has Annihilation on their own side as well, so it's going to be something where those probably come out at the same time. Ooh. But Akaza finding Hopeful out means there's no Pulse Bomb available for Red Team.
Yeah, but they've already gotten up to Zero. Zero finding those shots. I mean, just incredible Cassidy playing. As now Annihilations have been procced up. It's going to look to be going all the way for Short Bus, right? They found Goldia, they found Zero. Can they find more? And they do. The Overclock takes down Rosa. They had to invest a lot into that. They had to invest 3 ultimates there, Dex.
They had to invest 3, but I think the biggest thing for Short Bus right there is you saw Rosa invest the Annihilation, meaning that now you have a beat here for just basically for free. Yeah, Hopeful's going to have a Pulse Bomb. Zero is going to be able to build up to a Deadeye here soon, and Goldia has that Kitsune Rush, but the Pulse Bomb and the beat here on Short Bus might just be might be enough here just to win you a fight and potentially even this point, because we've seen how deadly it's been in the past.
The Cries gets taken down immediately. Pulse Bomb did come through from both of the Tracers, and nothing came in from the Deadeye, but the point flips over to Red Team. Sound barriers invested here by Ricky. They've got to try to win this out, and they think they can, especially since they found Zero, but Dinx is now gone. Overclock's being invested here by Goldia, and they've lost Evergreen as well. They don't have this beat. They need a pick. They need it now. They cannot afford to lose it after investing so much into this, and now they've lost Hopeful. Now they've lost Goldia, and what else are they gonna lose? Might lose this for this next flashpoint.
There is a chance that Red Team could come back into this and try to contest this point. They will have the beat, but that's going to be all they have here. It might just be smart for them not to necessarily engage into it. But if you do, you could force out the Pulse Bomb from Akaza, and even if you win or lose, that would basically guarantee that Short Bus would really only have that Overclock going in the next point. You do see Red Team kind of hovering around, but I don't think there's anyone close enough to get a touch here. Maybe Hopeful if they triple blink onto it, and that's exactly what they're going to do here. I expect the beat from Evergreen to come out in moments.
And there it comes in, but Hopeful doesn't get it. They are still holding it out. They've got onto the point, but they need to find Akaza. They need to find someone. Zero's the one to go, though. And still, there is an opportunity. The Pulse Bomb's up, though, from Akaza. If they can land a stick that ends it all here and now. The Hopeful is trying to track them out. They've got the look. They've taken Evergreen out, and this should be the end of it all. But they made an NRG invest their Overclock into this.
I mean, if you're a Red Team, I think you're kind of happy about that. Yeah, you lost the point. It is even now up on the map, but they invested a lot there for that, but they're still holding on to 2 ultimates. They're going to have a third one here, so maybe Red Team's not necessarily happy about that here. Short Bus, though, it's just everything's going their way now. They got the point right next to the last point. They're gonna have 3 ultimates. Red Team's gonna have to engage somehow, and now those first picks that we're seeing Red Team get consistently on the first point are not going their way. But as I say that, Rosa finds Akaza.
Yeah, Akaza going down is huge. Now they have to force in a Matrix to try to turn this back, and hell, kind of does. They find Goldia out, but they still an opportunity, especially with Dinks very low. The sound barrier has to be invested, and now they can invest this Annihilation if they so do choose. Akaza's back, and they've taken down, well, 2 more, so there's no real reason to invest if you're red team now.
No, not at all. And the fact that you haven't let this point been capped yet is even a little bit better, because it allows you to come back in, not down maybe 30-40%. You'll only be down about 25 here. And I mean, yeah, you're going to be walking into a Pulse Bomb and a Annihilation, but you have the exact same thing, and you have that Kitsune Rush and a Deadeye, so you have 2 space-building ultimates and the Pulse Bomb there from Rosa to potentially find a pick out early or get rid of that Immortality field from Dinks.
There's, Evergreen is going to be going down to the pummel, but they had it with that Pulse Bomb. The picks are just going to go all the way for Short Bus yet again.
And red team almost actually able to flip the point right there. That would be very big if they were able to, but the team kill going Short Bus's way, you win that fight on the 1 Pulse Bomb right there. It's a huge fight there for Short Bus. Everything went your way there. But look at red team. I mean, they're going to come into this next engagement 4 ultimates to start. That beat will come up at some time. They will have to use that and get that really fast here, because Necryze has that Annihilation ready to go here. NRG not far away from their overclock. Deadeye, though, coming out here from 0 to get everything going.
Yeah, Deadeye could find out, they might, yeah, they are. They're going to find Necryze with it. Akaza's still trying to find that pick. Kitsune Rush really allowed them to get that positioning that they desperately needed. Now they have this sound barrier to counter out Necryze's next Annihilation as the late pick coming in onto Ricky.
And that's actually such a huge pick right there for red team. If Short Bus was going to try to stick around and maybe try to find a couple pokes there and maybe find a lucky pick, it would have been great, but it actually came back to hurt them. They're going to need to wait for Ricky to come back in. Luckily, Ricky's on Lucio. But still, red team holding on to 2 big ultimates at the moment. You have a great ultimate to counter out Necryze's Annihilation here, which I would not be surprised if they engage into this next fight with them.
And 0 finding Akaza already. Rosa, though, is all alone. Annihilation going to be procced up and taking NRG for a ride. Soundbeer coming in, and Necryze is just dealt with immediately. They had no backup for their own Annihilation.
Red team realized right away that Rosa could invest that Annihilation there, knowing that there's a small chance that Short Bus gets back into this one here. Short Bus making some swaps, though. You saw the Doom there for a moment. Seemed like they were questioning it, but now they're back. Akaza gonna be able to get a touch here. You look at the ultimates that Short Bus is coming into with here. Gonna have 3. Red team gonna quickly have to build to a Pulse Bomb, but that's gonna be the only thing they have.
Yeah, they've got to be worried about this as the overclock has done so much damage for NRG. You've got to be careful around these sight lines, and they're still going to find 0 out with a Pulse Bomb. Now, this could still be going their way. Akaza goes down. You've got to stay alive. Goldia, no, was so close to the Kitsune Rush. The point looking to flip over. Rosa falls down, and the point goes to Short Bus.
And red team, I thought they had it there. I thought that Annihilation maybe was used at the right time, but just Short Bus able to get back on these swaps, and Necryze might be sticking on this Doom Fist here, but it looks like no, they're going to be sticking on it, it seems. And I do like that from them. It really makes red team have to respond. Look, Rosa going over to the Orisa here. Thought we wouldn't see her, but now we are. Like I said, I think Orisa's actually in a good spot right now. And Necryze, they could be able to shut down Necryze here and build some space, but hey, this is exactly what the start they needed, finding Dinks.
Yeah, definitely. And 0 or Rosa on this Orisa is a force to be reckoned with. We'll see. I mean, I feel like that's their comfort hero, but we'll see. I mean, Goldia is going to get taken out. The point is already captured up by red team, right? And the Pulse Bomb going to get stuck on to Necryze, taken down. They are going to lose Hopeful in the end of it all. The point is going to flip over because Rosa and co had to kind of retreat.
Yeah, I mean, they can't really do a lot without Goldia. That's the main source of healing right now for red team. Both teams... Okay, I thought NRG might have almost got flung off the map right there, but the Kirikos for both teams are the main source of healing. Yeah, Lucio is there, but they're more there for the speed over the healing here. Red team, though, in a really good spot right now. Both have both their support ultimates and that Deadeye, which I would imagine is going to be used to build some space here as they retake the point.
Yeah, they take back that point, and they didn't have to invest quite just yet, right? So they've got this chance to keep things going, and a nice Javelin Spear taking Necry's out of the fight, but they do lose Evergreen, who is so close to their sound barrier. Pulse Bomb not finds anything. Akaza is still alive and well, but they've gotten taken down as the trades keep coming through. The point is being pressured up by Dinks on this Kiriko. There's still Ricky left. The respawns are coming back. They don't have healing right now, and Necry's is back on the point. Soundbearer is invested. Kitsune Rush coming in. They're just kind of backing away. They're just trying to hold it out, waiting for this response to come back in for them. And they've got their own Kitsune Rush they can invest into this fight, and they're about to do that. As they're going in, this is their go sign, right? They've got to take this fight. They're gonna go down in this series, perhaps. There they go. The Kitsune Rush coming in. Terra Surge is out. Nothing coming in quite just yet. A nice Javelin comes through. Deadeye and Zero goes for a ride off the side of the map. The trades are there, and Hopeful finds NRG late. They do lose Rosa. Akaza's still there. No recall. They still got Dinks as well, though.
And they still got Dinks there, but right now, I mean, Red Team, they need to get rid of Akaza, but they're not going to be able to. The point will reflip back into their control. Red Team, they have to get someone there fast. The Winston coming out. Evergreen looking like they're going to be the touch person here, but they have to get a touch.
That's the map. That's the map. That's the map. Unless there's a pick coming in, but they just so many picks coming in from Short Bus that they can't really outdo that damage coming through. Short Bus are on the cusp of a grand finals victory.
And a sweep in that case here, which it would be the most surprising thing about this series. These have been the two best teams all season long. I think it's Red Team has only dropped 5 maps throughout the entire season. Short Bus has only dropped 4, counting that one forfeit they had at the start of the playoffs here. So they are the cream of the crop here when it comes to NA console teams. But right now, it's just Short Bus showing why they are one of the scariest teams here. And I mean, that was an even map. It could have gone either way right there. But, you know, as we look at the stats here, you'll start to see, you know, where the main difference was. And Joker, I'm really looking at that DPS line here, because the deaths on the side of Short Bus on the side of Short Bus and Red Team are so different that it kind of negates the death amounts when you look at the supports.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and then then the eliminations obviously will be a little bit higher for them as well. If we're going to take a look at the matchup between Akaza and Hopeful on our screen, and Hopeful's awoken, but he's still just kind of in his chair, right? I saw like he's just not fully awake, right? They're not getting the picks that they need. Akaza's just walking all over them right now, and it's showing. I mean, the deaths are closer, but again, the eliminations, the final blows aren't even really close.
They really aren't. I mean, 5 difference in the final blows, 10 difference in the eliminations, and I mean, look at the damage, over almost 3,500 more for Akaza. And that's just kind of been the story of this entire series right now. And we talked about it after the first map, where if you're going to have this Tracer duel, the Tracers, or if you're Hopeful, you need to be kind of keeping Akaza in check there. You cannot allow Akaza to roam free, because when you do that, Akaza just becomes a big problem. And we have seen that constantly throughout the series. And NRG, they looked great on that map as well. Hell, everyone for Short Bus just looked great. But Red Team, I think that was their best looking map so far. I think they had the opportunities there to win it, but the swaps that Short Bus made throughout that third and fourth point were just the swaps they needed to there to make sure they brought this to series point.
Yeah, are they really looking good? We've got the map choice to come in here as well for Red Team, and this is where they have to put it all on the line, right? Colosseo, the map choice. And now, again, I always say it in these grand finals, this is where champions are built. This is where, if anything can start a reverse sweep, it is that when you're looking at the death in the face, right? If Red Team can swallow it, take this map, and start their and get this momentum in their favor. Things can change quickly in a series of Overwatch. But again, this is the same thing for Short Bus. They've got it all, and this is where they need to close it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And Short Bus, I mean, it seems like they haven't really missed a step here since getting knocked down to this lower bracket. But Red Team, their backs are against the wall. They can't go back any further right now. We're going to see a completely different Red Team, a Red Team that's a little desperate, in my opinion, just try to get something going. We might see some off picks. We might see, just some weird stuff come out here this map. But as we see what the players are going to be running out with here, it's not necessarily a surprise. Yeah, we're getting a pause here to start off. But from what we can see, Akaza's hovering the Mei. I don't think that's necessarily going to stick. I think they're going to go over to the Tracer, but the Mei would be really interesting, especially just for a first point or first fight kind of play right there. Try to force or try to section off that Ramatra from the other team and then just go in after that. If they want to do something like that, it'd be interesting, but I don't necessarily think that's what they're going to do.
I really like the look from Hopeful bringing in that Sojourn. Very good Sojourn player, and I think maybe the duo of the Cassidy and the Sojourn might can really help them here. I think they need, well, obviously they need it to help them here because Akaza has been running rampant, and we've seen Zero been able to keep Akaza in check with this Cassidy, and then it's up to Hopeful to deal with NRG on that long range damage dealer with the Sojourn as well.
Yeah, and honestly, Zero was probably the standout player for me on the side of Red Team that last map, just being able to find all those early picks on that Cassidy. It's something we need to see more on this map, because as we've seen throughout this entire series, there hasn't necessarily been a back and forth fight. It's normally you see one team find a pick and then just kind of go through. Yeah, they might lose one or two, but they take everyone out on that other side. So, and most of the time throughout the series, whoever finds the first pick wins the fight. The Cassidy pick needs to be something that comes in clutch here. And I, like you said, love the Sojourn pick as well. I don't think Tracer has necessarily been doing it for Red Team here. That disrupting shot and just their ability to, keep some pressure out away from them is going to be something that should help them shut down Akaza if they're going to be playing the Tracer. But if they're playing the Mei, it's going to be something completely different, and we might see a swap there.
Yeah, we shall see. We do have the swap, or sorry, not the swap. The pause, unpausing. And actually, interestingly enough, we do have a swap. And Hopeful and Zero are really trading roles here. Zero's going Zero's going over to the Tracer right now here. As we are still not done yet. I think we're still just having a little bit of a hand cam problem.
Yeah.
For Zero at the moment, so we're just figuring that out, and then we'll head right into the game.
But like I was saying before, Red Team, their backs are against the wall. They can't go back any further here. Everything's going Short Bus's way. I think if we see this map start to get away from Red Team, we're going to start seeing some very, very interesting swaps come out there. I can't necessarily think who would it be. Maybe you see that Sigma come back out, because you saw what Short Bus was able to do to the Sigma for Red Team there, kind of completely shut them down and really caused them a lot of problems. So Sigma could be something we see throughout this map. A Mei, I mean, we do see Akaza hovering it right now. Does Red Team try to mirror that here, or do they keep with the Cassidy if the Trace doesn't work out? I mean, these teams have had great seasons so far, and Red Team does not want to end right now. They want to try to extend the series at least 4 more maps, or 3 more maps.
Unpausing here, and hopefully we're ready to go in, and we'll see. Can now Zero, who's bringing up the Tracer mantle for Red Team, to keep things going for them now. This is where it could all end for Red Team, Dex.
Yeah, and you see immediately Short Bus sends Ricky over there to the opposite side of the glass to be with Akaza, and now an energy going over there as well. So you see that Red Team is only really sending one person over there, trying to play it safe at the moment, but I mean, Red Team playing around the cart. Red team playing around the card. Short Bus trying to play outside that glass at the moment.
Yeah, they're still waiting it out. Still nothing's really going in. NRG is low, though. So is Necry's, and they're taken out of that fight here first and foremost. So this is going to allow Red Team to get that that momentum to start going in their favor. There's nothing really more to talk about right now.
And look at what Zero's doing here. They're expecting Akaza just to be somewhere in that backline. They spot them out here. And like I said, this Tracer duel has to be something that we see more throughout this map for Red Team. If they can get Akaza off their focus and just leave it to Zero, it's going to help them out in the long run.
And there's Hopeful to follow it up with a kill on to Akaza. They've gotten still an opportunity to take it back. And they are trying to do so with the bot. It's still in that limbo in this first phase. So Zero almost had their head taken off there by NRG. Still, the Pulse Bomb almost available for Zero in this fight. They could definitely open things fully up into the favor of Red Team with a timely stick for a timely headshot to come in from Dankist on to NRG. Another one comes in, taking down Akaza. And now things are looking better and better for Red Team, and they're very close to taking these forward spawns.
That's not who you need to lose right there if you're a Red Team. And now you lose Hopeful as well. You were so close to maybe even getting those forward spawns. You were able to find one pick, but losing Hopeful and losing Evergreen, now Goldia, you just have to back out with your lives. Zero and Roser look like they're going to be able to do that, but look at the swaps that Short Bus made already. They're going over to the Doomfist just because it seems like that Ramach is not necessarily getting them that space they're necessarily wanting. Going over to that Doomfist, they're going to be able to make that space themselves here, and it also kind of helps when every other ultimate on the field is ready.
Yeah, they're going to try to get into the Hopeful here. But Rosa's going to take down NRG, and now the Sound Barrier comes in from Evergreen. They don't have to save it for this Annihilation any longer, as Ricky's going to be taken down as well, as Red Team take back the bot quickly.
And that beat from Ricky only hit Ricky and Necry's, did not hit anyone else. NRG fell first right there, and now you see Red Team retake control of this bot, and they have an Annihilation and the Kitsune Rush here ready to go, but you lost Evergreen again first.
Yeah, you lose a couple players, but the big thing is, I mean, you did invest your overclock, but you didn't invest more into that, right? So they still have that Annihilation, and they still have that Kitsune Rush.
Yeah, and Short Bus, I mean, they've used two ultimates right there. They found everything they were looking for. They're going to have a Pulse Bomb, and Necry's will probably be able to build up to that Meteor Strike pretty fast, but there's really nothing to keep them safe from this Annihilation, and Rosa has been using them in really good spots throughout this entire series. But Goldia and this Kitsune Rush, I like to see them use it to be a little bit aggressive, especially now since Short Bus is starting to push the barrier again.
And there's the Annihilation. There's the Kitsune Rush, and it's already working wonders for Red Team, right? They found Ricky out, but that's all they find with those two ultimates. You might have wanted more, and you're definitely going to want to move that bot a little bit more forward.
Yeah, you're going to want to do that there, especially now since you really only have a Pulse Bomb, and Short Bus is coming back in to this next fight with two ultimates of their own, the Pulse Bomb and the Meteor Strike, which could be used in a deadly combo if you stick the Pulse Bomb on someone, say, like Goldia, and force out the Suzu. Ooh. But Goldia's gone.
Yeah, but Hopeful trades it back, and now Ricky goes down, but they are forcing the bot back away from their from that forward spawns. They've got the Meteor Strike out, but Zero's taking NRG down for the count, and they're still holding this strong, and they're about to take these forward spawns. They've gotten the contest though from Short Bus, but can they contest for much longer? They're trying to hold on to this Akaza and crew. The Pulse Bomb's out. No one goes down to it though from Zero, as they're still just punching them down, waiting it out still. No one getting able to inch forward. Necry's is back, and they're about to take Hopeful down for it as they go out of the fight, and now things are looking back for Short Bus, and they take Zero with them.
Yeah, and this is exactly the fight that Short Bus needed, but if you're Red Team, you're happy you did not invest that beat, because I really thought that entire fight, I was watching Evergreen get closer and closer to that beat. The moment they get it, they're going to use it. Hopeful dying there first actually helps Red Team out a little bit because now they can hold on to the beat. They're going to have that overclock and soon another Annihilation and a Kitsune Rush as well. But look at Short Bus now. An overclock of their own, a Pulse Bomb, a beat, and an Amp Matrix here. They have a lot right now, but you cannot lose someone first. But NRG has made sure they're not falling first.
Yeah, they're looking for another one. Hopeful bites the dust. And this could be an opportunity for Short Bus as NRG takes 4 into their own hands. And now this could be them taking the lead.
It could be, but Red Team could use the beat just to get back in and make sure that they do not take the lead here. 4 minutes on the clock right now, and at this point, Joker, I feel like whoever gets the 4 response first might win the map.
And did Evergreen get no one with their sound barrier? They didn't. No, this is not good at all. NRG is going to find 2, and that is just all gone and gone to the wayside. They take the point, and they take the 4 response.
And we talked about it a lot. This Short Bus DPS line is scary. If Akaza's not popping off, guess what? NRG can do the exact same. Found 4 the previous fight, found the first 2 there in that last engagement, and now the Cries find 0 out. Red Team is starting to fall apart here, and they need something to go their way, but everything is going against them.
Everything falling apart. It's just going more and more in the favor of Short Bus as they're finding the picks all on their backs as this is not going well. It's coming up to that last home stretch, and then we're singing the praises of Short Bus in the end.
Red Team, though, going to have 3 ultimates in this engagement. Short Bus going to have the same. Red Team has to play aggressive here. This Kitsune Rush has to be something that gets them in, and especially the Annihilation from Rosa has to be able to find 1 or 2 picks, so you cannot fall first. Akaza with that Pulse Bomb has been scary in the past.
Annihilation coming in, but Goldia goes down. They did invest the Kitsune Rush. They got it on the board, and they got the picks to match, but they need to take this point now. They've got to take out Akaza, and they've gotten the point back. They did lose 0. They need to take this next fight here.
2 minutes, 15 seconds left here. Short Bus making some swaps as well. Ding's getting off the BAP there after investing the Amp Matrix. Not going to be able to find anything. Red Team, though, I mean, at this point, Joker, I have to say you cannot necessarily afford to lose another team fight here. You need to get the 4 spawns yourself. You have a Pulse Bomb and a beat. And Akaza finding 0 first. I mean, Joker, that's not a good start.
Yeah, not at all. 0, and now hopeful overclock in line from NRG, and they're just going to be, they didn't even need it in the end. All the picks are already gone from Short Bus.
Talk about a player who is popping off at the right times. That is NRG at the moment. Pulse Bomb going to come out, not going to be able to find anyone. But NRG has just been all over showing us why the Sojourn is still a very, very viable and very, very strong character. Red Team making some more swaps here. Minute 20 on the clock, Joker. This seems like it's the desperate times.
It really is. It really is. They've got the sound barrier. They almost took out Dinks, but that almost only matters in horseshoes and hand grenades. The beat does come in from Rosa onto Akaza's Pulse Bomb. Sound barrier is invested from both of the Lucios. They've got to find a pick, and they're about to. Necrise goes down, and this is another perfect opportunity. But again, they cannot afford to lose a fight, and they've lost Hopeful here. They got the picks necessary, though, to take back the bot.
45 seconds on the clock, and Joker, I think now is the time. They cannot lose another fight, especially since they have to push the bot all the way to the other side of the map. About a 60-meter deficit at the moment. Everything is not in their favor here, but they are coming up onto that overclock, a Pulse Bomb, and a Kitsune Rush. Short Bus, they do have the Meteor Strike to keep the Cries alive if they do feel low, and are very, very close to a Kitsune Rush of their own, so we could be seeing potentially the final engagement here.
Meteor Strike's on, and Evergreen is down. Hopeful quickly afterwards as well. 10 seconds to go between Short Bus and victory, and the picks just keep going in their direction. Kitsune Rush, a second to go, and that's all she wrote. This bus has all gas, no brakes. Short Bus are your CGL champions.
Back to back champions, might I say, right there for Short Bus. They won last season. They come back to crown themselves champions again, and this is not the series we expected. We all expected a very, very long series, and it seemed like Short Bus took some offense to that here tonight. straight sweeping red team. And Joker red team definitely looked like they had found something in New Junk City and then going back over to Colosseo, but it just did not stick long enough for them to be able to find one map win here tonight.
So, I want to say it seems things are always perfectly balanced, right? And if we look at the bracket, you'll notice one thing about said bracket. There was no map wins from the losing side. So everything came true to form, right? It was a 4-0. No map wins came from the losing side in the Council NA Open tier. That is just it's just mind-boggling, right?
It's insane. It feels like it's something that shouldn't necessarily happen, especially because I mean, me and you catch some of these games. I watched a lot of these other games. There were some incredibly close games, but every winning team always seemed to just be able to find their way to winning every map here tonight. And it was the same thing in this series here. The final two maps, like I said, I really felt like red team could have done something on New Junk City and could have done something on Colosseo, but just the swaps coming out from Short Bus just at the right times every time, because red team did not necessarily want to counter them right away. They were holding on to ultimates. It just caught them off guard.
Yeah. Let's take a look back at those stats there that we so rudely interrupted with my tangent. And again, it's just a tale of not being able to find the picks that you needed to win this out. Just the sheer difference in eliminations from the side of from the side of Short Bus instead of red team it's insurmountable, right? You can't overcome that with those lows of that low of elimination.
And just looking at the stats right now, I'm staring at the damages for each team, and you can see how each team plays around their tank. Short Bus, not necessarily looking for their tank to carry with damage. They're looking for them to carry with building space. On the other hand, red team, Rosa, I think, was leading their team in damage these past two games, and Zero struggled a lot in this game here, but they're really looking for their tank to open up space so that their DPS can come in there and clean up. Hopeful and Zero, I mean, they looked great throughout this entire series, but we're just outshined by NRG and Akaza here. And NRG just popped off in this last map. 23-3 is just insane to look at here, but let's look at that Sojourn battle throughout this entire last map here. NRG and Hopeful, double the eliminations for NRG,
almost double the final blows,
about 1,600 more damage and 2 less deaths. I mean, it really does come to show. And remember, NRG found 4 picks with an overclock. That really opened up everything there for Short Bus, because up until that point, they were struggling to get anything going. It really felt like red team had finally been able to put a stop to it there. But the pop-off potential for this DPS line we talked about throughout the series here tonight, you just need one person to pop off and that team comes alive.
Yeah, and they really did. They really did indeed. We are about to finish our speaking points, or at least Dex's speaking points, because we are going to be heading into a break, and we will be back with an interview from one of the members of Short Bus. So stick around. You're not going to want to miss that interview right after this.
how I expected that to go by any means. Welcome back to the desk, everybody. This is the NA Open Tier console. And I tell you what, Short Bus just put a smackdown of epic proportions onto Red Team. We're going to skip Ray for just a few seconds. Don't you even talk right now. We got we got Energy in here joining us on the back of some absolutely sick plays. Colosseo really standing out in my mind right now. But Energy, say hello to the world. How you doing, my friend?
Hello, everyone. I'm good. Feel good. Me and our team are very happy with the outcome. So,
I mean, you guys have not dropped a single map here in the entirety of this bracket. And I do have Ray and Joker and Headrammer here. Ray, go ahead.
Wait.
Listen, as the biggest Short Bus stand here, I'm very happy. I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't even expect the 4-0. But let me ask you, were you guys expecting a 4-0 coming into this match?
I think we were very confident. I wasn't expecting a 4-0. I was expecting to win. I was expecting probably to drop a map maybe, but overall, I think our team was really confident, and I could say they might have been expecting it.
I want to take you to you pretty much your map winning thing, because that really changed the whole momentum of the map on Colosseo. That 4K. What was going through your head? Can you take us step by step through it all?
This one I ulted, right? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know if we were down one or if it was even, but I'm pretty sure Necrise dropped, and I wrapped around, and Zero was there, and he just had recalled, so I just assumed he wouldn't go on me, so I just ulted, and Kevin or Dinks popped the window right in front of me, so I ended up killing Hopeful and Goldie through it, and then the rest was just cleanup. So I think that really swapped changed the momentum of the map. We were really confident after that, and what was gonna happen.
Yeah, there was definitely a noticeable swing, the moment that happened. It felt like it went from a little bit of, trading blows back and forth on the map to just, honestly, it almost felt like you guys didn't lose a fight after that, essentially. I guess, you and I were talking a little bit before we went into this interview. You talked a little bit about, what kind of, makes your team good, and, why you guys are able to survive through a lot of these waves. You talked about how Ricky is kind of, a big part of keeping you alive.
So me and Ricky kind of just sit on he sits on me a lot of the time. He calls about if we want to wrap left or wrap right when I have a rail, or taking some sort of off angle to get a pick. And if it doesn't work, then he can just feed me out or boop whoever goes on me or peel me. And then if it does, then Necrise and Beastman can just slam and finish the rest of their team majority of the time. So
one thing I also noticed was that it really felt like a lot of these alt trades were not really going in Red Team's favor. They would use say 2 ults to engage, and you guys would just disengage so many times, and which I think had honestly that made it so they're always at this constant alt disadvantage, and then you guys would push for your resources and win. Who's calling those disengagements? Is that Ricky?
Yeah, it is Ricky. Yeah, Ricky. So on New Junk City, they had I think Kiri and Noon, and Ricky just called that we were gonna go left, and they were gonna use Hero, and we were just gonna kite it and then re-engage, and they ended up using both, so it just worked out perfectly. So Ricky calls usually majority of the things that we do, or he attempts to. Necrise has a pretty big part in it too, but it's mostly Ricky.
Yeah, absolutely. Bill, you have any other questions?
I mean, I just want to know, you guys talk about scrimming a lot more than Red Team. What are the looks for the team? You guys, we've kind of lost our path to pro. Has Otis been an idea for you guys? Because I think that you could actually compete with some of the bigger teams out there. I don't know if you guys necessarily win the whole thing. You guys can make a very good showing of yourselves. Where do you go from here? You're at the pinnacle of the console gaming league.
Well, OWCS doesn't since they don't support console. Some of us have PCs, so I'm on some Faceit teams. I just foe or I play in them. I think I'd like to see if Short Bus could move to PC, but I don't know if everyone will be down for it. I know Necrise has college, and some other people just like that might not just be what they want to do. I think we might play in the next CGL if there is one. Yeah, I'm not really sure. But I know this one, we didn't even really know if we were going to play in this one because Necros was going to be in college and Beastman said he didn't want to, but we ended up doing it, and yeah, now we're here.
Well, that brings me to one final
worked out
thing.
pretty
You got
well.
any yeah. Payday. Shout outs. Anything you want to give out there before we let you go?
Definitely on my team, Ricky and Beastman. Well, obviously, I want to shout out my whole team, but I want to specifically shout out Ricky because he's a person that's always telling me what to do and like calling out things. I feel like he's like probably the most important person on our team right now. And on the other team, probably Hopeful. I feel like he had he tried his best to solo carry, I guess. Like his team wasn't really like all together. It wasn't really working out. But like he made the plays when he could. And Zero on New Junk City, he was hitting a lot of Kree shots, but once it like got off of the point where Kree dominated, then it was more in our favor. So
All right, well, everybody, that was Energy with the winning short bus team. They take the win 4-0. Energy, thanks so much for joining us here in the broadcast booth, and go ahead and get back with your team and celebrate. Congratulations.
thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
All right, everybody. So, I mean, that did not go any way of how that was supposed to go. I mean, we all predicted that it was going to go at least 6, and here we are sitting at the end of 4 Overwatch. And Ray, I mean, they really did shut down Red Team. You heard Energy there at the very end. He even said that Red Team was not playing anywhere near like what they were expecting.
Yeah, I mean, he even expected to drop a map. Like I gave Red Team 2 because of the caliber they were. And I think the ironic thing was I came into the match in the pre-desk and I was like, I think Red Team has the advantage on the DPS. And what it really turned out to be was Short Bus really had that. NRG and Akaza were just absolutely going sicko mode the entire match. And I love hearing that in NRG just shouting out the Yoda, the Ricky, the old man, the guy who's been there, done that, knows it all, and is coming through big time with the plans and the strategies. It's really cool to hear that perspective because I really appreciate Ricky's play. I mean, I've known him back to when I've had our members when he was still playing tank sometimes.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been on a team with Ricky multiple times, and Energy's right. He has an absolutely strong mind for the game. He can shot call. He can absolutely shot call your entire team to victory if you listen to him. You know, sometimes he'll overload himself trying to do a little bit too much, but if his entire team is listening to him and you're doing what he says, you'll probably win the game.
Joker, thoughts?
I think I have to agree. It just didn't look like the red team that we've seen in the previous matches, right? They didn't, and I don't think it has to. The Orisa nerf couldn't really change everything because we saw when Rosa was on Orisa before that change, right? They looked dominant, and now they couldn't really play Orisa. That especially at a tank of that high level, it can't just dismantle an entire roster that you can't play Orisa.
I mean, they were dominant before.
I don't think it was Orisa though. Honestly, it felt like a large difference in team coordination.
Yeah,
and obviously there was individual pop-ups as well, but it really felt like just players being on the same page with each other. The engagements, disengagements. I mean, all that was just at a whole different level for Short Bus.
You know, it's interesting. We kind of talked about this in the last series where we were talking about how crucial the Lucio player is for like your tank, right? But in this case, NRG's like, nah, Ricky is with me, speeding me around on Sojourn, knows I have a rail and is trying to put me in a good spot to line up a kill. That's a interesting other approach to take there where it's like, we trust our tank and Dinks to keep our tank alive. We're going to send our Lucio to go enable our DPS.
That is different. That is different than what you normally see.
We also kind of saw that, at least we tried to see that from Evergreen during when Zero had those Deadeyes, right? They're trying to speed Zero into positioning to get a value with the Deadeye, but the Deadeye just hasn't really translated well into this new form of Overwatch because it's just kind of too long, and this game is about speed. It's about getting into position, taking flanks, you can't really get good value with that Deadeye any longer.
I think the rest of the kit makes up for the lack of the ultimate, though. I think the combat role negates,
it's kind of as energy said.
definitely.
It's like as soon as the high noon pops up, Rookie is like, team disengage, and they listen to him. So it's like it's hard to get the value out of the high noon when you got good comms like that and a Lucio to get you out of there.
Yep. I think that they kind of hit the head on the nail. I mean, if we go all the way back to Nepal, watching Hopeful take a side angle and try to go on the supports where Short Bus is focusing on taking a DPS and a support out. The rotations were just much more passive from Red Team, whereas Short Bus was much more direct. And they were also able, like you said, I think that Ricky was the catalyst for this team here. But you know what? We do have an MVP. And we gave it to a support last series, but this time I was kind of torn. I think a lot of us were torn between, Akaza with how much disruption they had, and with energy, with them being able to just pop off at moments and really take control of maps, which we saw time and time again. So in the end, it came down to Colosseo. I think that really cemented it for all of us. So your NA console open MVP is going to be Energy, and they absolutely earned it and won it out. I mean, just fantastic work. And like I said, Ricky getting them in a position, being able to deal with that stuff, and then being able to utilize amp matrices and stuff like that. That is some good stuff all around. So I'll give one little last cheer from all of you. Ray, let us know what you think about Energy as the MVP.
I mean, Energy was just felt like the consistent force. I felt like at times there were moments where I'm just like, holy crap, what did Akaza just do there? Like, he completely turned that on its head, and Short Bus should not have won that. But it just felt like consistency. And every time we pulled up the stats, it was like NRG was even above Akaza in final blows, despite all those pop-off moments. So he played incredible and showed great consistency on a hero where it relies very heavily on you being able to hit your shots, especially when you're going to commit a Lucio to helping you out with that. If you can't hit those shots, you're wasting a lot of resources, and he did it beautifully.
Joker?
Yeah. Energy was just consistent, and consistency when you need that for your Sojourn player. And then obviously that 4K on Colosseo just kind of sealed the deal on that entire map, right? That changed the entire momentum of it all. And I mean, I was thinking we were starting that reverse. We could have been obviously starting the reverse sweep or getting that first map victory for Red Team, right? On Colosseo before that happened. And everything just deflated. And to be able to do that as a player just shows you why they are the MVP.
Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, we talked about the consistency. I mean, it's the type of thing that kind of reminds me of a player like Merit, for example. I mean, you might say Merit doesn't have the highest peaks compared to some other hitscan players, but he always shows up, is always hitting his shots. I mean, and that's something that can get in the head of your opponents too. Like, if you know this player is always going to perform, you're less likely to want to peek them. You're less likely to take the risk to, like, in those 1v1s. You lose confidence, and confidence is really important when you're playing that hit scan role. And we saw also through a lot of their stats, they're not dying a whole lot, which is partly on them, but also with the coordination they have with their team. And I mean, you see hit scan players that will just walk off on their own and do whatever they want, but a lot of times they might not be as active in the comms or even as much of a team player. But to be like a consistent hit scan player who hits their shots and is a team player, I think is basically a complete package.
I really like that Merit comparison.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it. You can see it in the gameplay. You can see it in the interview too. Very humble young man in Energy. But you know what? That will do it for our second grand final of the day. Once again, it is Short Bus taking the 4-0 victory. Surprisingly, 4-0 over Red Team. They are your NA Console Open champions for MTT 13. And so now we're going to take a break. We will be back in about an hour for the last grand final of the night. We'll be back here on the desk with you folks. Don't go away. We'll see you in about an hour.